Hey, Laura, what's up?
Not much. What's up with you?
We're partying, dude.
We're more than just north of Oklahoma.
barely. What's happening?
So I originally wrote this as a budgeting question to be read as like the email of the day on the Dave Ramsey show, and I sent it in.
Okay.
But I guess Jehovah Sneaky has another plan, and Taylor caught me on with you. So we'll see where we go with this. I'm not really sure what.
I have learned I can get nothing by Taylor. Kelly, no problem. No problem. Kelly's about as held together as Swiss cheese. Taylor is something else. So she caught you. You're busted. What was the call?
So last year I was diagnosed with depression, and I also deal with generalized low-level joint pain that comes and goes. And the medical profession isn't sure why, but it has been an exhausting 4 years trying to figure it out.
Sure.
So while I'm generally stable and medicated, I do have seasons, and usually, let's be honest, in the deep, dark, cold Canadian winter, where the wheels fall off of all of my best laid plans. So there are worse days. The worst case is on the weeks or days when I don't want to shower. I go through drive-through, skip the gym, do a little bit of retail therapy. And I end up spending all of my available energy on going to work and walking the dog.
Okay.
But beyond that, I have really nothing left over. So I'm single and in the helping professions. So there's not even anyone at home who can kind of scaffold me into getting some of that basic stuff done. So what I've done is I've put a few key things in place, such as house cleaning and grocery delivery. And during those times, I also prioritize sleep and make sure I do things like get touch from a massage, haircuts, and simply to remain feeling like a human. So all of this is in the realm of reasonable based on my income, but inevitably I spend more on random stuff than I intend. And so by the time the end of a season, like March or another downtime rolls around, I usually have a bit of a mess to clean up. Usually that's like emotionally, functionally, like making sure my car is got its brakes checked and stuff like that, and sometimes work-wise. So I have amazing supportive friends, but I always end up feeling like I'm starting fresh all over. So I'm just curious, what are some structures I can put in place to proactively protect myself from myself?
That is a great question. How long have you been wrestling with this?
So I got diagnosed last year, but if I look back, I probably, I had a very good friend who identified that every summer I would lose my job because over the spring I went a little loopy and, productivity or tardiness or any of that kind of stuff. And so we put things in place. I make sure I go visit friends and stuff like that during February and March. So I would say probably my whole life, but specifically and psychologically, like diagnosed last year after a pretty rough season. So
was there an event that led to you going to see somebody to get diagnosed?
Yes. So our family has been going through some pretty tough stuff. I have a sibling who's dealing with some pretty heavy mental health stuff himself. And then I had sort of a situationship blow up on me, which is never fun, but it was sort of the beginning of hope. And, I'm 48 and single, and, they're talking about like perimenopause and all that kind of stuff. So there's a lot going on.
Yeah.
And so just last year, I think I really just hit a wall, and realized I can't just, because I have a job where I'm doing crisis intervention and all that kind of stuff, it's emotionally heavy. And so by the time I get home, like oftentimes I would just come home at 4:00, walk the dog and go to sleep, and then sleep all day Saturday and sleep all day Sunday. And, so that's not a good way to live.
Sure.
So yeah, that's sort of where I've been dealing with.
And has medication helped?
Tremendously, both for the anxiety and the depression, as well as all the other medical stuff.
Has it helped? So sometimes the medication will serve as a dampener, right? It just takes the hurt away, but it also takes away all the good stuff too. And sometimes it feels like it gets your head above water so you can start swimming again. And so when you start saying, now I am setting these safeguards in place. I'm going to get massage. I'm getting my hair done. I'm getting up and showering just so I can feel like a person again. That tells me that it's more the latter, that it's actually helping bring you back to get your head above water so that you can go do the things that you know you need to do.
Totally.
Okay.
Yeah, totally.
Awesome. That means
it's been life-changing.
I'm a big advocate for it in those situations.
Yeah.
That
God works in pharmaceutical ways, right?
Well, I mean, man, that's going to be a slogan for somebody. Well done. Well done.
Right. It's my slogan, but you can use it.
I will never ever use that slogan. That's good. That's good. But yes, I love being alive in a little sliver of humanity where if I need the help and it's the help I actually need, man, it's there. It's amazing. It's amazing. My season with medication allowed me to go do the things I needed to do to go heal, not to avoid feeling bad, if that makes sense. Right. And there's definitely a difference.
Absolutely.
Anytime somebody tells me that them and their sibling are struggling with a diagnosed mental illness, I always want to make sure I at least ask, what is the ecosystem from where you both came?
Yeah, it was pretty unstable. It was emotionally unstable and chaotic. Like, you hear lots of stories, and it certainly wasn't that. And I know we're not comparing traumas, but it was like unstable, very high emotional. I had an extroverted father, or an introverted father in sales, and an extroverted mother who stayed home with the kids quite reluctantly. So we and my brother has always had challenges. So it was pretty unreliable emotionally as well as like logistically, even though it was, we never did without food. We never did without, all that kind of stuff.
Tell me about your reluctant mom.
Oh, I didn't want to do that, but no. Yeah, my mom is a bit of a force of nature. She's extroverted, and she, just the time of history when I was born.
God, you are talking so many great circles around this. Just tell me about your mom.
No, well, I'm just saying. So she wanted to work, and my dad didn't want her to, and she wanted to be more than just a stay-at-home mom, and so and she and my dad are both. They find it very difficult to talk about emotional things, and I almost died as a baby, so I think that really got into the ecosystem and the DNA of the house. And my brother was a bit of an emotional terrorist for all of us. Okay. So it was my mom. Yeah, my mom is a bit scattered and capable, but not really doesn't think ahead. And so that that put us in some what I felt were precarious positions, even though they really weren't when I look at it. But as a 6-year-old, thinking you're going to go to jail because your mom didn't buy tickets to the train because she thought she could do that on the train, and then ends up she can't. So she gets off the train at the next station, and then the train starts moving. Right, so that's pretty scary.
Well, and the way you mitigate that is to grow up with some very clear plans on how things are going to go.
100%.
And if you're working in medical trauma, that means you're very smart, and in combination with very smart, you worked your butt off.
Mm-hmm.
And you made it happen. You checked every box, and you dotted every I, crossed every T. You solved for every variable.
Right.
Except for that one damn one about I'm going to have a family and be married, and it's going to look like this.
Yeah.
And often in that home that you just described, the one thing nobody's allowed to do is grieve.
Mm-hmm.
You're not allowed to be sad.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're sad, when you just are just, when you just spend a season grieving, it was supposed to be this way, or I really wanted it to be this way, and this is what it actually is.
Mm-hmm.
You end up with frantic activity. You end up with I'm gonna strip the world of every variable possible so that I can control everything. And both of those end up with people around you completely burned out.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't spend time grieving as a regular spiritual practice or emotional or psychological practice, eventually you put it in just a deep, dark enough environment, it will shut you down. Your body will. It'll turn the lights off.
Yes.
Is that fair?
And that was my last fall.
Okay.
It was very much lamenting and grieving and doing all that stuff.
So what if we flipped around? You have a narrative that that your body's busted. It's not working right. I don't think that's accurate. I think your body's exhausted because it's been propping up Laura for about 42 years.
8, but yes. Mm-hmm.
No. I'll give you you were about 6 till all the wheels started falling off.
Yeah.
At 6, you learned, Mom just gets off the train.
Mm-hmm.
I got to be in control here.
Mm-hmm.
And you've heard me say this a million times on this show, Laura, that was never your 6-year-old you's job.
Mm-hmm.
Your job was to hold Mom's stable, sturdy hand and be bonkers on that train.
Mm-hmm.
Being in a relationship has been hard romantically, hasn't it?
Yep.
How come?
Probably going after emotionally unavailable men and not having that many options.
Because what's the most terrifying thing to 6-year-old Laura?
Well, that the people who are supposed to love me aren't going to prioritize my needs.
What's the most terrifying thing to 6-year-old Laura, though? Emotions, feelings, demonstration of.
Yeah, anger and disappointment. And
so you go after robots.
Yeah. And yeah.
And that's really, really lonely, isn't it?
Yeah. And frustrating and hurtful and all that
stuff. And so here we are, right? And you're like, I just asked you a question about freaking my budget. Can you get to it?
Hey, I mean, Jehovah's Nikki and Taylor had a plan, right? So.
Right. Here's the thought I want you to at least hold it loosely. And you're in the care of a physician and a mental health practitioner, so this won't interact with that at all. I want you to hold very loosely this idea that your body's working pretty dang well, and that you're 48 years old, and you've spent almost every moment of your entire life, child and adult life, caring for other people's emergencies. And it's cost you sleep. It's cost you late night anxiousness. I bet you have a hard time. I bet you can spin up, can't you?
Yep.
So it's
what do you mean spin up? Like
put your head on a pillow and all of a sudden you're like, what about this? What about this? And oh my gosh, I forgot about this. Or do you take care of a patient and then you leave the room and for the did I put it in? Did I put the pick in? Right? Over and over. Listen, your body's working exactly as it should.
Mm-hmm.
And then eventually it goes, oh, she's not getting this message. Shut it down.
Mm-hmm.
She's still going. Activate sore back and hurt knees and hurt shoulders. Go. Right?
Right.
It will slow. Your body's so amazing at finding ways to slow you down.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, she's living a completely isolated life, and she says she has good friends, but mostly they just share emojis and texts. We will get her in front of a doctor, and that doctor will have high touch and we'll look her in the eye and we'll listen and we'll connect and we'll communicate.
Mm-hmm.
Right or wrong?
Yeah, the key, the details aren't, but the key, the underlying.
Okay.
My friends really, truly are amazing.
Okay, that's good. Okay, that makes me happy.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, so if you just called me cold and you're one of my buddies, and we've already talked about all this stuff, and we're just eating nachos, having a drink, whatever. Here's what I would tell you. Some things that have saved my life in this transition, and I probably don't overuse that, but I don't underuse it either, is I'm surrounded. I got so many this year. My wife's like, wow, I wake up every morning in a baseball stadium. But I'm surrounded by those 10,000 lux light boxes. I've been in my bathroom. I've got multiple ones in my kitchen. I've got one down in my gym. I've got one in the morning when I write. I've got them everywhere. Okay.
Right.
That's number one. And that's a whole other podcast if you want to listen to it. In fact, Huberman can talk about it more, but you know about those things.
Yeah, absolutely.
The basic challenges that, and this is just from James Clear stuff, is let's put as many hurdles for unhealthy decisions and let's clear the friction. Let's clear the path for the easy ones. What does that look like? Maybe in February, you have your friends over who are amazing and you'll have a party and you log into your Amazon account and one of them changes the passcode until April 1st.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want to buy something, you got to go through them. And they have a series of questions they're going to ask you.
Right.
And it's so annoying and it's so frustrating. There was a season I gave my debit card to my wife. I was out of control.
Beautiful.
I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. And you don't have that. Cool. So we're going to have a party where we invite everybody over, and it's going to be the winter hurdles. And I've lost my whatever card or my bank card or whatever the thing is, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to have a friend that will go shopping with me. And we're going to make sure I can get some jelly beans, some, Laura. Right? But not
always the jelly beans.
Not tons.
Right.
Do you write in the winter?
Yeah, when I'm not doing school stuff, I write in the winter, yeah.
Like you journal to yourself?
Yeah, a little bit. Not as much, but yes.
Okay. I want you to practice something for me. Just try it for 30 days and then write back in to Taylor. And if it's terrible and you're like, Taylor, this is the worst, then she won't tell me. And that way I can just go around with the illusion that everything I say is awesome.
Sure.
Actually, she would love to come running in and be like, you were wrong. I want you to write a letter to yourself on a daily basis. That's not a letter. It's not true. On 3 to 5 statements. And it's not going to be gratitude this time. It's going to be, dear Laura, our body's taking care of us like this today. And when you start to get up and it's like, no, I'm not. What I want you to begin to do is you're going to slowly, minute by minute, inch by inch, line by line in this journal over 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, is I want you to begin to separate yourself from how you feel and what the next right move is. And the way I've learned to do that personally in my life is to say out loud or to write down, my body's trying to love me right now. My body's trying to keep me safe by keeping me in bed. And then I will say, thank you so much, but I got it from here. And I'll get up but it's a conversation where I'm separating myself from this intense feeling. And what I know will, right? And that in someone who's been diagnosed with depression, most people don't understand that isn't just like a feeling. It is like you're stuck in concrete, right?
Yeah.
Or worse, it's worse than concrete. It's like being stuck in honey. Like you're moving, but it's just, right?
Yeah.
What I have found during the clear moments is when I separate myself, and it was a long arc of a practice, years of, okay, I feel this way, but I'm going to do this.
Right.
And as I begin to peel those apart, that's awesome. And by the way, some days I just sleep in.
Right.
And I don't be like, you suck, you piece of crap, you should have. I think, man, my body must have really needed that. And then I'm on to the next. But that only happens when you stop waking up every moment of your life thinking something's wrong with you. Instead of thinking, no, my body's trying to take care of me.
Right.
You see what a shift that is?
Yeah. Yeah, I've been fighting my body for a long time.
Yeah, man. Your body's pretty
Since
awesome.
the moment I was born.
Do what?
Yeah. Since the moment I was born, because I was very ill. So.
Yeah, dude. So think about this. Your body kept you in the game when you were very young,
Yeah.
when you were really little. Your body kept you in the game with an unstable kind of family situation. Your body's helped you navigate showing up for people in their darkest moments, day after day after day after day. Your body's kept you afloat until last year, living a life, then you had a different picture for what that life was going to be. And that last thing is, at some point, and this isn't today, and this is probably this is 100% with the help of a mental health professional, especially with your depression diagnosis. You're going to have to grieve this picture. I was going to my life is going to look like this at 48, at 45, at 40, and it doesn't. It's hard, scary. It's just crushing. And once you metabolize that and you get back in the driver's seat, your body will begin to know, okay, it was supposed to look like this, but it doesn't. Now we get to paint a new picture. All right, what's 58 going to look like? What's 55 going to look like? How do I learn to love men who show emotion and my body doesn't run screaming for the hills because it remembers emotion as unstable, going to leave me on the train? And then you're going to run into some knuckleheaded guy there in Canada, and he's going to be like, what do you think about this? And your heart's going to flutter, right? Because he's going to have emotion and feeling and laughter and joy, and it's going to just begin to shift. But it starts with this idea of, I'm not broken, but man, it didn't work out like I thought it was going to. Ugh. So given that reality, what can it look like now? And what do I need to do to get me to that place? And I'm not playing. You guys, you got money. If you're impulse spending, I'm calling your bluff. How seriously do you want to stop? Give your debit card to somebody. Give a friend or a spouse your Amazon login. Give somebody your internet code, for God's sake, if you have to. But do whatever it takes to put some hurdles so that when you start to impulse buy, you feel it, you acknowledge it. I need to go for a walk. I need to go do 15 push-ups. I need to go get in a cold shower. I need to do something. Because the feeling is what I'm trying to get rid of. I don't need new junk. I just need that feeling to burn through. And since I've got some hurdles, it's going to be really tough. What are some easier paths forward? Laura, you're awesome. Thank you for the call. Hang on the line. I'm going to send you a couple things. I'm going to send you Own Your Past, Change Your Future, my #1 book about dealing and metabolizing and doing the next right thing, dealing with hard things, and then what do we do next? And I'm also going to hook you up with Financial Peace University, my company, Ramsey Solution, the flagship product. It can walk you through these steps on, okay, how do I get a hold of my money? I've made a mess this winter. I want to clean the mess up, and then I want to head on to the future. And by the way, with FPU will come the Every Dollar app. We're going to hook you up with that for a year, the premium version. You're the best, Laura. Take care.